This video is the putting back together of an NSU Quickly S23. I've been given all the components, not all of them, most of the components for it to put it back together. So I'm just making out a list of what's missing. I do know that the petrol tank is not here, and also the toolbox, because I'm almost certain that it's an NSU Quickly S23, not an N23, it's an S. These are the clutch and gear change, dim switch, speedometer. They haven't been cleaned up yet, so they have to be done. The engine has compression and everything and looks to be in very good condition, so the timing looked as if it was right on it. The wheels have been restored, other parts have been done. Now there's no saddle cover there either. The nut on top here, that has to be replaced as well. So that's it. I'm going to be putting it all back together. It's an NSU Quickly S23 1964. Now this is the front swing arm and all the component pieces for the suspension section at the bottom. The two suspension units, the cushion shock units, these go in here, they're rubbers. The bolts for holding that on through there, and then they have their own bolts running through there. So now I'm going to tackle putting that together. I'm just out of putting grease through the nipple there with the grease gun, and around this area here as well, both sides. So now what I'm going to do is to put in the spring first with the rubber inside it. Then this unit with the two caps on it in there. Now I've got to get a bolt through the whole way there. Now that's the bolt going through there. And that bolt will also hold the mudguard stay. So now I'm going to put in the other piece in here, which is a kind of a shock absorber. So this is one of the shock absorber units. And put a bolt through it. Now that's the wrong size bolt, so I'll have to get a longer one. Now that's the bolt gone through there. I'm putting a shake-proof washer on it and a nut, and they're all stainless steel. So I'll tighten that up there now. And what I've done at this side, I'm going to do at the other side as well, exactly the same. That's the second one in place there now. So that's that finished, and I can now put it onto the main frame. This is called the swing arm. Right, this is the sequence of events. 21 ball bearings on the bottom, which I have just installed. Then I will put this up through the frame. When it gets to the top, then another 21 ball bearings, 5mm, which I've installed already. This race goes down on top of the ball bearings. This cover goes over that. Then this nut to hold it in place. Then there's a round washer Then there's the light holder. Then there's this, it's kind of a lock washer. And what did I do with it? I have to put a new top nut washer on it, and nut on it, because the one that I got was all rusty, so I'll put that on top. Right, now I'm putting up the swing arm. Right, the race goes down. Top of the ball bearings. This cover goes on like so. This nut goes on then. Now I'll just tighten down that with the .36mm box spanner. That's just about tight enough. Next part to put on is this handlebar holder. Apologies. There's a washer goes on here first. Flat washer. Special washer with the lip on it. And then the new top nut, which is 32mm. So I just need to tighten that up there now fully, and that's the swing arm in place. And to hold the handlebar unit in place, M8 by 18. I'm using stainless steel ones. Washer on the outside and a spring washer and a nut on the inside. So there's one of those both sides. Now they're the M8 by 18 bolts installed. I just need to tighten them up. I have spring washers as well, just to make sure that there's no movement. I've taken off the old cables from the gear change and the throttle, and I'm after cleaning up the gear change. I'm after cleaning up the throttle handle, and I've cleaned up the decompressor section of the gear change as well, so I'm just going to fit them back on there now. So this piece here goes in there, and then that piece goes on there. This screw goes through there, a washer on it. And the decompressor handle gets screwed on there like that. So that's that done now. I must put the grip on there now like I did on the other one. Now I have the gear grip on as well, and I had to heat it with a heat gun just to help it to get it on. It was difficult enough to get it on. This one went on pretty easy. I've also cleaned off these cable holders that go in there. These are the original ones, and this is a nipple for holding the decompressor cable, so we'll try to reuse where possible. The next thing to do is I need to clean up this speedometer, and I'll probably have to put a new chrome bezel on it there. It says 3051 miles done, and I'll have to deal with this spring and clean it up as well. Right, I tried cleaning off the bezel, but it just wouldn't clean up, so it needs a new one. So I have to try and prise this one off. There's a little lip there that you have to prise off, and another lip there. So that's the old one off. I must now try and put the new one on, which doesn't always work that easy. There's a lot of sanding to be done sometimes, but hopefully this one will go on easily. Now it went on pretty good. I didn't have to do any sanding today, thank God. So that's it. There's a new chrome bezel in place. So now I've just got to clean up the spring and get the rust off of it. Now I've cleaned it off, and I'm after putting Q rust on it there now, and it's drying before I undercoat it. These little things here, they're frame swing arm protectors, and they go on here just like that. I've just got to get it into the hole, and there's another one at the other side, so that when this swings back it doesn't get damaged. Now that's the protection rubber in place there. See the way the swing arm hits off of it, and the same at the other side. Now I'm going tackling the saddle to put on the foam and the cover on it, and it's hopefully going to look like this when I'm finished. So first thing to do is to put the foam in there, then set this into it. And now there's two holes in there, and I must put these bifurcated rivets in there. So that's going to be the first thing to do. So now I've managed to get it completely on. That's the bifurcated rivets bent over there. The little straps go over that, and two bifurcated rivets in the front. Got a bit dirty now while I was working on it, even though I had gloves on me, but I'll give it a bit of a clean there now to clean it off. Now I'm just putting the saddle on there because and then I must put the handlebars on because I must put in the wiring loom, and to do that you have to turn the frame upside down. So I'm just going to bolt that in place there now, tighten it up. Now I'm just putting this emblem on the front mudguard here, and I'm using 3x20mm bolts at the moment, but hopefully I'll be able to cut them off a bit. Actually, yeah, okay. And I must put on the nuts now and spring washers on there. Now I've turned the bike upside down, and I'm hoping to pull through the wiring loom. I've attached it on here. This is the section that goes to the light at the top. So I'm hoping it'll pull through. I'm not sure that it will, but we'll find out. It's not going, oh, it's coming out. Yes, I just have to get pliers to get it out of there. Right, I managed to get it through eventually, and I've put a rubber there to stop it from fraying. This blue wire goes to the engine, and this grey wire goes to the taillight. And these two wires go to the headlight. Up there like that. Right, the grey wire runs along the frame here and out into the taillight, down along the mudguard. There are 3 special clips that go on here. These are them. So I'll put them on there now and put the wire onto it. Right, there are the 3 clips in place. Right, and it then attaches onto the mudguard going out to the rear light. I'm just putting in this air filter here. It's you have to steep it in oil, so I'm just going to put it in and have another piece on the machine. So I'm now putting on the rubber cap that goes on there. There's a lip there, and there's a lip on the rubber that you need to set it over it. So that's it in place there now. I'm installing the rear mudguard. There's 2 holes, one at each side there, and they attach on here. This is the frame piece that goes on, and an M6 by 18 bolts, spring washers and nuts. Now that's the rear mudguard attached. There's a toolbox goes in there, so it'll slow me up a bit now in terms of I'll probably put on the back wheel and things and take it off of here, but I'll have to take the wheel off again when the toolbox comes because it attaches on those 2 holes there. It's a pity I don't have it, but such is life. Now I'm going to attaching this chain guard here, which goes there, and it's attached at the back with 1 bolt which goes in there. I must check the size of it. Now I've attached the chain guard. It's actually an M6 by 10 bolt with a spring washer. Now I've installed the rear stay there with 4 by 10s, but mine are a little bit longer. I'll cut them off with the angle grinder. So that's that. I think I can put the carrier on next. Now that's the carrier in place. I just have to put on the M6 by 12 bolt with washers and spring washers and things and nuts. Now that's the carrier fixed in place. Right, that's the back stay and the carrier tied into that there now. M6 by 15. Right, there's 2 other stays to be put on. That one there, and that holds the other section through that hole there of the chain cover, and there's another one at the other side. That's it. Now those 2 stays are on. The chain guard is fully tightened, and the other stays on there as well. I must just trim off these bolts because I didn't have ones that were the right length. Now this is the front wheel, and I had part of the Speedo drive, and I just found the other half of it here, which was stuck to the wheel here with a load of grease and gunk. So I must try and clean that off now and see if it actually works in the other part of the speedo drive. That's the other part of the speedo drive. So I managed to clean it off there, and it actually looks to be in reasonably good condition, and I've just bent out little lugs there that catch on those things there, like so. I just need to see now if it spins around. Yeah, I think we're good to go. Right, I'm just after cleaning it there now. I must put some grease into it, but I just want to check these two little lugs. I bent them out because they must catch here on this, like so. And if it turns, yeah, it does. So it looks like it should be okay. Well, we'll know anyway when the bike is going, when the wheel is turning. But I think that's good now. That's brilliant. I'm going to put it on the front mudguard, and with the front mudguard there's a little spacer, and there's a 6 by I think it's 6 by 36, and there's a shake-proof washer on it. So I'm going to try and put that on there now, and then there's 2 stays to be put on as well. So that's it there now in place with the 6 by 36. I'm after putting a spring washer rather than a wave washer, and I put a bigger washer on it as well because it was tending to go through the hole. And that's the spacer above it. Now I'm putting on one of the stays there. The other part of it goes on there. I must just take off that nut just to make sure it's the right length. Now that's the second stay on. I must tighten up these bolts, and then I must cut off those. I didn't have the right length one, so I'll cut them off. Now that's the 2 stays on. I've tightened all the bolts. So now to fit the front wheel, I've just put in the little washer that goes there. This is the brake unit, and this is the nut that holds it in place. So I'll just tighten that up there now before I put it on. Now that's the front wheel on, speedo in place. I must just put back in the screw here, which actually holds the bolt in place. And the brakes are working pretty good as well. Now it's very important to tighten up these 2 bolts. There's one at each side. You don't want the front wheel falling off. This tightens up onto the bolt coming through that I've just put through there. Another one at this side here. Now, also with the speedo drive, I was able to push out the little metal pieces that are attached to it that actually make it See, when it's going around, these little metal pieces hold it in place, the actual drive itself. And then the speedometer cable is attached on there. And this is the grease nipple underneath. Now this is the rear wheel. And the washer is in it. So I must put on the brake. Like so. And this nut holds it in place. So at the moment I'm putting on the rear taillight. There's two bolts, one goes through there and the other one through there, and they come out in there. I'm not sure that they're long enough that I'll be able to put a spring washer on them, but hopefully I will. And that's the wire coming out, the grey wire. So I've now at the connecting on the wire, and I've just folded it up nicely there. This bulb looks like it might be blown, but I'm not sure. I could probably test it, but we'll see when it's when the engine is on as to whether it works or not. So all I have to do now is to put on this and put the screw on the top of it there. So that's the taillight completed there now. Just going putting on the NSU sticker on the back mudguard there, so it's a two-hand job. So now that's the NSU sign in place on the back. Now I'm going to put on the back wheel onto this, but I'm waiting for the toolbox, and I'd have to take the wheel off again because it attaches there and those two holes. I'm also waiting on the petrol tank to come. So yeah, I'll put on the wheel anyway because I need to take it off of the frame here. Now I've cleaned off, put on Q-rust, undercoated and finish coated this spring for the speedometer. So I'm just attaching it there to the speedometer itself and store it away until I need it. Now I'm putting on the number plate holder. There's two holes there for it, one top and bottom. Now this is the engine that I've been given for the S23, and it looks as if somebody has cleaned it up and painted the heads and things. There's a little bit of rust coming back on the nuts and bolts. So I'll clean them off, and what I'm going to do is check that whether there's oil or not in it. That's the S23 as it is at present. So I'm just after taking off the cap there off of that to check the float. And it's one of the old style floats, and I cleaned out the bottom, but there was some oil in it, and oil and petrol which was kind of gone off, so I've cleaned that out. I must put the cap back on there now. I must check this here to make sure all the parts are in there. I've checked the timing, and the timing seems to be correct on it. It seems to be opening roughly at the right time, so I'm not going to open this engine at all. It seems to be perfect. The oil looked reasonably good on it, but I must top up the oil. I'm actually going to empty the oil out of it and then put in the oil again. I just need to see whether there's any metal parts or anything in it. Now the slide is looks to have a good needle. I'm going to put it all back in again. This pin here is not going up and down, it's seized, so I've got to free it up. that's the tickler for when you're starting it. So I just need to clean that up and get it moving. And just looking at that there's a piece of tape over this hole here. There should be one of these adjusters inside in that hole there, so I'm going to put a new one into it. There's also no gasket on it, so I'll have to put a gasket on it, and I'll put some Durco gasket maker on it as well. So I've put on the adjusting unit there, and the little pin goes up and down. Now I'm after cleaning it and greasing it just to make sure that it keeps going up and down. So now I can put the rest of that back together. Right, I'm changing the oil on it there. It's a bit gunky looking, so it'll need new oil, and the oil plug needs a new seal as well, so I'll have to put one of those on. I must see if I have it. I think I have. So I have a copper one there. I'll put a copper one onto it. Now that's the oil that came out of it, and it's a bit gunky inside in it, but it doesn't seem to be too bad. But I'm going to put new oil into it anyway. Now I'm just after filling. This is the filler hole for an NSU Quickly engine. I'm after filling it with oil, and I'm going to open the overflow one out just to see if I have enough oil and not too much oil. Right, there's two screws here on the side of the engine. This is the level indicator one, and this is the drain one. So this is the one that I have to open here now to see what level it's at. Okay, I've taken off the thing there now, and I'm letting the excess oil run out of it. Right, it's only dripping now, so I'm going to put the plug back in. Now there's a small little cup missing out of here. I'll have to check my parts and see if I have one. Now this is the little piece that's missing. It stops the cable from pulling through because there's just a hole right through there. That's the gear changer. So that has to go in there. I'm just going to put it in there now, but I won't leave it there because I'd more than likely lose it. There we are. So I just put it back into my box of spares in there. So now I've taken the bike off of the stand, and I'm going to put on the engine. So I need a jack to jack it up. I can't hold it myself, so I'm going to put on one bolt, and it should be easy enough then after that. So now I'm after getting two of the bolts on there, and I can take the jack off now. So I'm looking in the spare parts that came with the bike. There's two pedal pins and a whole load of other small screws, but not a full set of anything. I need those for the headlight cowl. So I'll have to use one of these stainless steel bolts to finish the engine. Now I'm going to attach the stand. These are the bolts for the stand. I'm leaving the engine bolts until I have that done, so that I can take it out and stand it up properly. So I've painted them, and I'm just going to put them on there now. I've installed the engine. I must put on the cover on it there at that side. I have the stand in position. I was just finished that off, tightening the bolt. Now I'm putting on the side cover. Now this is the air hose. I'm after ordering an air hose, but it's the wrong one that I've ordered. Attaching the air hose there, I've just got it on in place. I actually ordered the incorrect one, but I had them in my box, so lucky I had them. I had to take the carburetor off because you can't get this on there with the carburetor on, so you have to take the carburetor off. So I'm going to put some Durco there now to seal that up again. I'm after cleaning off the horn and painting it up, so it looks pretty good, so I'm hopeful that it actually will be working. So I'll put it back on anyway, and hopefully it works. So this is where the horn goes. It gets attached on there and it sits down into the groove there, and the wires are connected on there. Now I'm after taking apart the existing switch that came with the wiring loom, and that's the light thing with the dimmer wires off of it. And I've taken the dimmer thing apart and I've cleaned this one, and it's in good condition, but I've ordered a new one anyway because this section here has gone beyond it more than likely. So I'm going to put the switch in now, and the first thing to do is to put in this switch in here. It goes like that. Now what's missing is there's normally a piece of paper sitting behind there. I'll just have to go to my spares box and see if I have one. Right, that's my spares of the electrical stuff, and I managed to find one, so I'll put that in now first, and then the switch goes on after that. Then you have to put on this spring, this mechanism here, this little washer, and one of these clips. So now, as you can see there, I have the piece that the wire is attached to inserted. I'm holding down the little clip that moves head and over to turn the lights on and off. And the next thing to do is to put in the spring, the washer, and the little clip. It's difficult, it's impossible to film it, so I'll put in the spring and the clip and the other thing then, and it'll be finished. Now I have it in there. I've only got the clip in a small bit. I was just checking to make sure that it actually turned, which it does, because there are two holes and you can tighten it even further by going on to the second hole, but I think it's okay on the first one. So I'll now insert that split pin and I'll bend it over to start. Now I've got the circlip, the split pin I've got bent over there now, so it's completely installed there now, and I have the screws facing forward so that they're easy to screw the wires when you're installing the wires. So now I think what I can do is I can install the speedo. Now this is the speedo that I put the chrome bezel on a couple of days ago. Now normally there is there's a little kind of a gasket that goes there. Now I don't normally tend to put them on. I actually would sit this into white mastic, and I think it probably gives a better seal that if it's ever out in the weather there won't be any water getting. Now that's the speedometer in, and the spring that I cleaned off and fixed, hold it in place. So I must just clean off the mastic around there now, so there should be no problem with water. So that's the light cowl now as far as I can take it at the moment. This is the new light for it. That's the old one, so I've taken off that earth wire and attached it, and I must try and get this wire off here, or in actual fact I won't take it off. I'll actually make another one to put on here. The light is slightly different in that there's an area for a wire there. For what reason, I don't know. Now I'm just after putting on the light cowl there, but I'm not putting it on completely because I have to put on the badge when it comes, and I have to connect the horn wires inside there, and there's other wires to be connected on here. So yeah, the speedometer is on the way as well, the cable, so that has to come as well. Right, yesterday evening I put on the throttle and the gear change that I cleaned off, so with the new grips and everything on them, so that's all working reasonably well. Right, I must put something on them now to protect them from getting dirty. Now, so I've managed to replicate what's on this one by putting it on there, and you have to use one of these, what they call bifurcated rivets. So that's that part of it. I have to check now to see if this actually fits into this hole here. This hole looks bigger, so that could be a problem. I'm going attaching the exhaust pipe and these are all the component bits: the gasket, the nut for holding it in place, the front section, screw to put this on here, connector for the connect the two pipes together. This is the back section of the pipe, and the screw for the middle section there. So the first thing to do is to put this bracket on, and there's a hole inside here that this, I think it's about a 10mm bolt goes on. So I'm going to put that on first. Well, actually no, I won't. I'm going to tighten this so that it kind of stays together. So I'm going to put on this bolt here. I've just put on that bolt there just to keep it together, and this is the way it goes on. Hopefully the noise of the rain, it's lashing out of the heavens with thunder and stuff heading up our way at the moment. So anyway, I'm going to put the 10mm bolt there now at the back of that. Right, I'm starting to put on the front section there now, so I'm putting in the gasket, and then I'm going to put this up and tighten this nut in place. So I've just started it there, but I must get the special spanner for tightening it. Now this is the special spanner. I have a small one and a big one. No, I'm only just hand tightening it for the moment, because I might have to adjust it when I put on the back section. So this is the jointing piece that goes on there first. Now I have to loosen this here that I tightened a while ago. In any event, I must turn the head of the screw on the outside. I just tightened it up so that I could put it on. So I need to get the pipe through, it needs to be loose. Now that's the whole exhaust pipe on. I have to put the bolt in there now to tighten it up there. I must tighten up the joint, and I must tighten up the nut fully there at the other end.
So you just decided with...
Now I forgot to put in this frame closer here, which goes in there, and this bolt holding the engine holds it in place, and there's a bolt goes through. It's the clutch cover, and that holds it at the top. So this is actually the way it goes in, like this. Now that's the frame closer in place. I just have to make sure that it's lined up here reasonably well. If there's a problem when putting in the bolt to put on the clutch cover, you'd have to loosen this bolt down here just to let it loosen up a small bit to get it through. Right, this is the bolt that holds the clutch cover, and it goes through the hole there. And that's the clutch cover. I'll have to take it off again when the cables come. Goes on like that. There's a screw that holds it in place there as well. And now I can tighten this other screw onto it. But to do that I need two hands. Right, I'm just installing this new screw here, which wasn't in the pieces that I got. As I say, I will be taking this cover off again when the cables come. But I'm just putting it on there now to keep the frame closer underneath in place. So that's it. I don't think there's much else I can do now until the rest of the parts come. Now I'm just after installing the dimmer switch there. They're the two horn wires that I put on earlier onto the horn. They're the dimmer wires, and they're the two main wires coming up from the taillight and from the engine. Now I've connected up all the wires, and now I can put the light into position, tighten it up, and I must figure out what screw goes in there at the bottom. I must look at the book and see what it says. Now that's the headlight fully finished. There's another knurled screw supposed to go in there, which I don't have, and I'm waiting on the badge to come for there. Now the parts came today that I was waiting for, and this is one of them, the Quickly emblem that goes on here, so I have to put it on and bend down the clips and put the light back on. So that the two kind of clips bent back now hold it in place. These are the new pedals for the bike and the new pedal arms. I have the pins that go into them, but I think one of them is bent. This one is bent. The screw has gone on crooked onto it, so you can see that it is actually bent. So I'd have to put a new set on it. Right, I'm putting on the left one there, and I'm assuming that it's when you sit on the bike that's the right and that's the left, so I've put the left one on anyway. I'm just about to tighten up. I put in a new pin. I had new pins in my stock, so I put in a new one. Let's just tighten them up there now and then go to the other side. Now that's the second pedal on the right hand one. I'm just concerned over here because this nut here is catching off of the side casing, and it doesn't look as if it'll go in any further. Now I'm putting on the cables on the N23 and S23. They're cable clips. They clip onto the frame there. There's a kind of a plastic coating on them. These are the original ones off the bike, so I'm using them. There's a tiny bit of rust on one of them where the plastic is not coming off, but they're good enough to use. So the bottom section goes on there. You put the little nipple through that thing there, and there's a kind of a cup on the end of it, and then the cable goes down through it. So I routed it up through these cables and up here, and then this is the decompressor lever. So it goes into that outer section there, and now I must put a nipple on there, screw a nipple on there tight so that it can operate the decompressor. Now I have all the cables on. Now I've just taken off the rotor magnetic unit there because this piece was missing off of it. I had the wires tied up there, but I forgot that you have to have a little unit like this which attaches on there, and this little thing keeps the wire from getting caught on the rotor as it goes down, and then you connect onto that and bring it up through that there. I've screwed it into place, and I must attach this wire to it. Now the parts that I was waiting for have arrived. The toolbox cover, this item here, I've already put on a new one, so I can take that off now and put this one on because it's in good condition and it's the exact colour of the paint. So yesterday evening I put on the tank cap, and I put on the stickers and the tank badges, and I put on the piece going across there, the metal piece. So now I'm putting on the toolbox first so that I can finish off the wheel. I had to take the wheel off there again to get the toolbox on there. That's what I was waiting for. So to attach the toolbox, number 27 is 5.5 by 16 hexagon bolt, and that's what I've put in there. It threads into the plastic itself, and the other one then, the top one, is just a nut and bolt and washer with 2 spring washers. Number 29, 6 by 12 with spring washers. So that's what I have there. Now that's the frame piece on, and the toolbox is in place, so I must put the cover on it now. Right, this is the toolbox cover, and this is a brand new. It's a kind of a stopper closer kind of a thing. It's a bit stupid, but that's what they had on them. So this is a new one. I'm going to install it there now. I must take it apart by taking out the pin, taking off the plastic and the rubber, and then inserting the pin down through the thing. Now that's the toolbox in place. It was difficult enough to get it on, and especially when something is after being painted. It's difficult, but it's on in position now, so I must put on the tank now next. Now I've had to straighten up these here because they were a bit on the bent side. This one is still a bit bent, but I think it'll probably work. So this is what I'm doing here now. I'm after putting on that threads on to that end of that there. The other one threads onto the other side, so I must thread the two of them together now, and then once I've that done I will put it in here. Now that's it put together, so I must get it down in there now, and then M6 by 10 bolts, one on either side to hold it in place. That's a kind of a shock absorber for the oh, I just realized I've got to put this into the hole first and then put the tank down over it. I can't do it this way. Put the shock absorber on there now, and now I must put the tank down over it. That lip there goes in here, so now I've got to try and get it on without damaging the paintwork on the tank. And there's also a rubber goes on here. Now I'll see if I'll put some tape on it to hold it in place first. Now I managed to get it on. It was quite fiddly, but I've got it, so I've just got to tighten up those 2 bolts there now, one at each side. Now I've just installed a new fuel petcock filter, so it's ready to fire up now once I get the back wheel on, chain and the back brake. So now I'm after putting on the chain, and the only thing to put on now is the rear brake that goes on there, and it's finished. So that's an NSU Quickly S23.